Hello, brothers and sisters. Father Nathaniel. This Ash Wednesday, coming to you with a very short video about Lent. And as we heard in the first reading, rend your hearts, not your garments. As you go to get your ashes today and begin your Lenten journey, I would invite you to rend your hearts, not so much your garments. Lent's not primarily about just giving up chocolate or giving up wine or something like that. Those things are good bodily fast to do for love of God, and we should still do those. But above all, God is inviting us to have our hearts rent, to have a deep existential heart change this Lent by having a deep personal encounter with Him. That's why Pope Francis highlights in his Lenten message that Lent is about looking at the crucified one, looking at Jesus on the cross with his arms open for you, that blood pouring out for you, him saying, "I thirst," and he's saying it about you. Lent is a very, very deep existential period because it's a time where we're invited into the heart of God and to know Him, to know how He looks at you and how He feels about you. The Church recommends 3 practices, and you've probably heard them before, and to do them, like Christ says in the Gospel today, not out of hypocrisy, not looking, as the Greek word hypocrisy means, to show off, to be a pretender, to be on theater stage, to see what people think of you. Rather, these are things we do in our hearts especially, and we do them not in a showy way, but we should do them for love of God. First is prayer. Important to dedicate a little bit more time of prayer this Lent, to quiet things down. That may mean praying the way of the cross every day. It may mean praying a rosary. It may mean just simply having a consistent prayer time. We're each at a different place. For some, that means going to daily Mass. For some, it maybe is making a couple times of Eucharistic adoration each week. The key is, like Jesus, were you calling me into a deeper union of hearts, to come to meet the Father, to have a profound experience of your love by giving more time to God? Because people that love each other spend quality time together, and they make sure that there's time together. And here it's not about measuring the amount of time as much as to know that I'm called to a deeper experience. I'm called to a deeper quality of prayer this Lent. And for that, I need to commit myself. God, were you calling me to give a little bit more time to prayer? Secondly, fasting. Again, this has the dimension perhaps of giving up, but it also has the dimension of giving up for something. Giving, for example, giving up video games so I can have more time for spiritual reading. Giving up judgmental words so I can focus a little bit more on speaking well of others and not gossiping, perhaps. Giving up bodily things like wine or beer or chocolate, or whatever something you like. Maybe it's taking cold showers instead of hot showers, or maybe it's just simply taking a short shower. Maybe that means 5 minutes for you instead of 10 or 15. And you're fasting. See, the thing about fasting is we're collapsing all these desires we have in our hearts that go out to embrace fulfilling desires of bodily pleasure, of affirmation, of self-exaltation, etc. Whatever these desires may be, we're kind of saying no to those for a time, so that the overarching desire for God can be number one. It can be the dominating center of our universe. It can be that spiritual gravitational center of our life. And that happens by often, at least for a time, pulling back from some of the things that we would normally enjoy, because we want to keep our eyes on the eternal things. We want to keep our eyes on God and let God be that more and more polar north, more and more that center of our universe. And then thirdly is almsgiving. The Greek word in the Gospel for almsgiving is eleemosine, which means to be mercy-giving, to be having an abiding attitude of mercy. So when we think of almsgiving, maybe you think about money, and I think that's a good thing. Think about money, and how can I give more this Lenten season, in this year ahead of me, to be a better steward. But I would invite us all to be challenged that eleemosine, almsgiving, is much more than just simply financial giving. It's much more. It's a broader thing. It's a more extreme and radical thing. It means to have more and more an attitude of going around giving mercy to the people that need it. And sometimes that's a listening ear. Sometimes that is a hug. Sometimes that's just sitting quality time. Sometimes that means giving financial giving. Sometimes that means, and these are harder things perhaps for some of us, maybe is work going with those who are poor and suffering and spending time at a homeless shelter, or spending time at a nursing home or at a hospital, to be with people. That could be strangers. It could also be that loved one that maybe I'm just not making time for. Mercy giving may mean it could be for you. You have someone in your life you haven't forgiven, and it means making that effort this year to try to build that bridge and try to move forward in that relationship. It could also mean reaching out to demographics and types of people, maybe a different certain ethnicity that you just have a hard time. It's part of this is normal in our fallen nature, right? It recognizes, okay, there's certain, if I have trouble with this gender or this ethnicity or this type of personality, I'm going to show mercy and I'm going to try to make a bridge and spend time with that person or the group of people. So, brothers and sisters, there you go, short message for this Lent. I encourage you to keep your eyes on the crucified Christ in these 40 days. Look to him, be inspired by him, but above all, hear his voice, him telling you, I love you, and I want you to come more and more into my heart and know me better. Let's ask the Lord to give us very clear indications today. What are those areas? What are the 3 things I'm going to do for Lent? Prayer, fasting, almsgiving, mercy giving. Write them down. Write them down where they're going to be clear for you, so that every day, several times a day, you can be reminded, not out of obligation, but out of my loving commitment, out of a loving response to the God who has loved me so much that he would die the most horrible death for me, so as I could share in eternal glory with him one day. God bless you. I'll be praying for you this Lent. Pray for me and for all priests as well, that we be holy, we be faithful, that we ourselves go through a deep conversion as the church struggles on in this period of our history. I thank you for your prayers, because we all need them. May God bless you this day. Take care.